Hello everyone, welcome to this special concurrent session on the street dialogue empowering youth and empowered by youth. My name is Ji-Hong Lee. I'm the head of Office of Education and Training at OPSAU. And it's my great pleasure and honor to share our very interesting and dynamic initiative on GCED, which is street dialogues. So in our session, we have many presenters and two co-moderators. So the two co-moderators are Ms. Tina Turdin from Association Loitra and Mr. Bastien Fillon from Association Officine Cittadine. And also we have 5 young speakers who will present on their cases. Mr. Ali Khan from Pakistan, Ms. Selin Goku from Turkey, and Ms. Isabella Maliksi from the Philippines, and Ms. Marbella Cardenas from Mexico, and Simon and Liv from Cameroon. So firstly, I would like to start this session with a brief overview of our project. So Street Dialogue Project, when you hear first about this one, what really comes to your mind? You might imagine that some dialogue might happen on the streets, and what kind of streets, what kind of dialogues. And also you might wonder, how is it related to the global citizenship or global citizenship education? So basically you're right. It's about having dialogue on the streets. So this project was designed to foster global citizenship on the streets in different parts of the world through the civic dialogues and conversation with the people in our communities. So as we all know that global citizenship education is not only done in the classroom or formal education settings, rather it can be and it should be done in informal and non-formal sections. And then we thought that the streets can be the ideal place for us to have this non-formal education and learning. And also the dialogues. Ultimately, GCED is to bring the changes for the betterment in our society. And where does this change come from? And where do we start? And we thought that the dialogue can be the starting point for this. And that's how we initiate this project. So we did this project with our young GCED advocates in different parts of the world. So they are the alumni of OPSAU's youth leadership programs. And we wanted to have some real life experiences and interactions with the neighbors in our communities. And also this project has given us a new learning experiences which goes beyond the school world and outside the digital world. So today we've been talking about all this digitalization of our life and education the whole day. And then we've been literally living in the digital world for the past few years partly due to pandemic. However, we all know that though there are many meaningful conversations, dialogues, communications going on in this digital world, but we know that it may not reflect everyone's voices there. So that's why we decided to go out to the streets, meeting the real people in our communities so that we can learn from them and share their thoughts together with the global audiences. So specifically, this project aims to spark open discussion on global and local issues that we face on different streets. And also, it aims to revitalize our young leaders' everyday conversation with their local communities. And also it aims to empower the young leaders to lead public debates and discussions with the people that they may know or may not know. And lastly, we would like to share the global citizens' diverse voices from the world so that we can learn from their thoughts, from their ideas, from their insights, so that we can decide where to go and what to do with all these issues that we face. So this is how this project went. First, we did some skills training. So yeah, it's a street dialogue, but it doesn't mean that we just go out to any streets and do some dialogues. So we had the systems and approaches in it. So we had almost like a 2-month virtual training with our experts on street dialogues. So we learned how to facilitate the dialogue and conversation with the people, how we can choose the topic, and how we can approach the people, and so on. And after the training, we did the project planning. So all these project teams, they planned their own project, what to do under the name of this street dialogue. And after the planning, they have implemented their project. So there are two types of actions. So one is the global action, the other one is the local actions. So for the global actions, all teams, they worked on the common theme. This year we decided to have democracy. So with that same theme, all teams, they went out to the local community, do the conversation and dialogues with their local people on this theme. And unlike this, for the local actions, each team has chosen their own topic to be discussed. So they chose the topics which are most relevant and most meaningful to their own communities. And in the process, and also even after this whole project, we wanted to share these outcomes and lessons and experiences that we have gained. So I believe that this is also one of the chances for us to share. And throughout the whole process, there were constant guidance and support given mutually. So of course, it was given from our experts to experts, but at the same time, we have shared our experiences and lessons and wisdoms we gained from the process all together so that we can do it together, though we've been doing in different parts of the world. So this is our project team. So we've been working together in this wonderful team. So AFSEU has been initiating and developing and managing the whole process. And we had two experts who've been serving us as trainers and as mentors, Ms. Tina Turdin and Mr. Bastian Fillon, who will be telling us more about this street dialogue later. And also we had the project coordinators who've been helping us to communicating each other and also particularly compiling all these research and outcomes from each team. GCED Youth Network, who is a group of people, young people who have graduated our capacity building workshop on GCED. And most importantly, we had these project teams. We have 11 teams in 10 different countries. As you can see on the screen, geographically it's very diverse. So we have 2 members from Mexico and 1 from each country, from St. Lucia, Ghana, Cameroon, Turkey, Pakistan, Nepal, India, Philippines, and Indonesia. So they've done such a great, great job on this street dialogue project in their own streets. So let me tell you briefly about this global action on democracy. As I mentioned earlier, we had common theme, which is democracy. And also, we have chosen a specific common topic and question, which we will bring to the community. That was, as a citizen, how can you concretely change your world? So all teams, they brought this question to their streets and meeting the people, having dialogue with them, most time in local languages. So these are some pictures taken from their local global actions. And now I would like to show you a short video on this global action on democracy, where you can find more information about these actual activities, what kind of discussions were made, and how people reacted to it, and actually how they have facilitated all this conversation with the people. Hope you enjoyed the video.
Problem in this community. This is what we are facing. This is what we are going through. It's like they haven't heard anything. So meaning here, democracy is not working.
Being a ग्लोबल सिटीजनशिप हमारी जिम्मेदारी है बीइंग अ स्टूडेंट कि हम अपने काम ऐसे करें कि हमें ये पता है कि हम जो कर रहे हैं उसका असर दुनिया में भी पड़ रहा है। अगर हम प्लांटेशन एक एक पौधा अपनी साइड से लगा लें तो वो हमारे इन्वायरमेंट को क्लीन कर सकता है।
Not just blaming concerned authorities or the government side. If certain actions from individual side also can be taken, many things can happen.
Biasa tuh yang di atas itu, maksudnya yang pejabat-pejabat itu semuanya saja tuh. Ya. Menurut pendapatnya tidak, nah dia bagaimana kondisi masyarakat dan dia membuat peraturan seenaknya tuh.
I think we can change the world by placing as much emphasis on equity as we do on equality.
Tal vez podemos decir racismo. Entonces, tal vez eso sería una solución que yo propondría en ese aspecto, de que se llegue a como un acuerdo y ver qué se puede hacer respecto a la misma.
Okay, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did. So, and also my special appreciation goes to the video production team led by Mr. Umer Mustak. Okay, so that was all about this global action taken by the teams. And next, I would like to tell you a little bit about these local actions. So as I explained before, these local actions, the topics were chosen by each team. So as you could see on the screen, the topics varied, ranging from the gender equality, quality education, human rights, climate action, mental health, drug abuse, sexual violence, and citizen action for justice. So the teams, they have chosen these topics which are most relevant and needed in their own context. So these local actions taken by the teams will be presented by the actual teams who have conducted these wonderful actions. These 5 presenters are waiting for us, and then they'll make the presentation on this. Yeah, so this is the end of my presentation. So hope you had a good understanding about our project. And next, I would like to invite the co-moderators, Ms. Tina Turdin and Mr. Bastian Phelan. So they will tell us more about this street dialogue as a methodology, what it means and why it matters. So Tina, Bastian, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeong. Hello, everybody. I will start. I'm Bastien Fillon, a French guy from Italy. I work for the Italian association Officine Cittadine. I'm a non-formal educator, and I'm kind of specialized in how to make non-formal education industry. Today, I will have the pleasure to tell you more about this street dialogue method together with Tina.
And hi from Slovenia. My name is Tina Turdin. I come from Association Loitra, where I'm a GCED trainer, and also I mentor young people in the local community. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here and present this big story with all of you, to all of you, together with Bastian and the team.
Thank you. To do that, I will share with you a presentation, and Jeong will help me also to do that. So how does it work, this street dialogue? Maybe Jeong, you can go to the next slide. Everything starts from these 2 important questions. how to sensitize citizens to local issue, and especially the question of the real participation. So how to create a real space of participation, of participative democracy. To try to answer to these two questions, I will share with you a small part of my story, and you will understand why we finally arrived to the street. Next slide, Dion, please. So, as I mentioned, I'm French, and at that time, I was working for the French association Sensibilisation that is making popular education. We were closely working with a Sri Lankan trade union that is working for the workers' rights of the tea plantation workers. And at the same time, we were also supporting workers in France that are transforming the tea into the small tea bag that we are using to consume. At that time in France, Unilever, the big multinational company that was owning this factory, decided to close the factory and to open it in Poland, as the Polish workers are cheaper. So for us, this red line about the tea, talking about the exploitation in the tea plantation in Sri Lanka, and this question of job and outsourcing here in Europe, in France, was very symbolic to allow us to criticize or to put in question the globalization. So we started to work to create link, trying to make people reflect about these interdependencies between the North and the South, using the tea as an example. So we started in a very classical way. We organized, thank you, Jiang, we organized some classical debate. Down on this slide, you can see a poster for a documentary done by a Danish journalist that introduced the question of the fair trade, and fair trade especially on the field of the tea. So we organized in a fair trade shop some debate where we are inviting people, French citizens, to come and to reflect and discuss with us. I let you guess how many people came to our debate. The young speakers know it. We were in Paris at that time, and around 4 people came to this wonderful event. 4 people, including the 2 people working for the fair trade shop, my colleagues, and other people that came just to buy some stuff in the shop. So let's say that it was a fail. We were not sensitizing nobody, I mean, except people that already agree with us, people already involved in international solidarity or in any civil society organization. So from that, we just noticed that usually it's always the same people that are coming. Here I put you a picture of the Greenpeace activists, so people already agree or engage with us. Or the classical political activists, so the old people that are retired and spend their time from one debate to the other. And of course, the nice student from our Erasmus project, high-class student that participate to this kind of project. So at this point, we had 2 solutions, or put us in question and say that maybe what we are doing is not adapted to the people, or thinking that people doesn't care about globalization and are stupid, and etc., etc. We decided to put us in question, and we're trying to think what can we do? What can we do to make something accessible, attractive, and to make people come? Next slide, Jiang, please. Especially because personally, we were all a bit bored by this classical space of participation. Here, the picture is very symbolic. You have, as usual, a panel often sitting up higher than the other, sit on the table. It's often old white men in Europe talking as experts, blah, blah, blah. And for the last 5 minutes, the audience is invited to participate. And symbolically, we have to ask the permission to raise a question. So for us, this is not very participative, not very inclusive, okay? So we decided, can you jump to the next slide, Jiang? We decided to think about how to reach people. And if people don't come to us, maybe it was us that was supposed to go to meet them. So we decided to imagine a methodology to rethink all our practice and trying to think and imagine where we can meet these people, where we can meet the diversity of the society. We remember that time this nice quotation of Victor Hugo: the street is the umbilical cord that links individual to society. And finally, the answer was quite obvious. In the street, in the public space, in the park, in front of the supermarket, in the main square, here we meet the people. It's where I meet my friends. So why not trying to do a global education there? So we developed, with the help of Tina, this global education Agora method as an innovative methodology of citizen participation based on this social interaction in public space. So as in the street, we can find and reach a large panel of citizens that reflect the diversity of our society. Our approach is including this diversity. Of course, we develop different tools as a different way to interact with different people and to make ourselves more accessible. And now I will let Tina explain you a bit more what is exactly this Global Education Agora.
So thank you. As Bastian mentioned, yeah, in 2017, we initiated a project together called Global Education Agora. And one of its main aims was actually to build on already existing street dialogue methods, but frame them in a way that they can be also transferred and multiplied. And adding a really important dimension to the whole package of methodology. Next slide, please. And this is the GCED perspective, yeah? So you can see here the three main components of Global Education Agora, on which, if I can say already now, also the skills training was based, yeah? So the global citizenship education approach, so how to connect any local issue that we are addressing on the street to something that's happening also globally, how it affects us all. And then we have the non-formal learning approach, so to really make it in a participatory way, an engaging way, so that the people, the passers-by who come, they feel like they want to participate because it's so inviting, yeah. And then, of course, street education, all this happening on the street, which, as Bastian already mentioned, it's really, it has so much potential, and it's where we meet the people. Next slide, please. And because we are all very different people, yeah, we learn in different kinds of ways. We are really diverse, and that's the beauty of it. We also made a distinction of three different spaces that we are creating on the street, so that it's easier to understand how we are inviting and who are we inviting in dialogue. Next slide, please. So these three spaces on the street, they address a bit differently different types of people, yeah? So perhaps maybe you don't want to read anymore about the topic, you don't want to listen to blah, 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 and you just want to express your opinion. So for those, there is a space that we create where you can share your ideas. And one of the most used methods is the word carrier method, which you will get to know more a little bit later, and how it was adapted in different environments. For those who don't want to speak, or maybe feel a bit shy, or they don't know a lot about the topic, so they want to get informed first, there is a space of exhibition of documentaries, yeah? So putting up some statistics, some information about the topic that we are addressing that passers-by can observe, read about, inform themselves. And then finally, the third group of people, those who really don't want to discuss, don't want to read, but want to play, have fun. So a space for a game, the playful space, is a space where, with a certain activity that is playful, we are inviting into this discussion, but using the game as a medium, yeah? And just so that you can imagine a bit more, you know, this can be, we can create all three spaces for the same topic, or we can choose just to do the word carrier. It depends of how, yeah, the timing and where we want to do it, but this is the potential that we can use. Next slide, please. So here you have some photos of this is the word carrier method, the space for discussion with the question, with some answers already there that we gather beforehand, and then people come, they read, and we engage with them to collect more answers, and we put them on the boards. Next slide, please. And then here some more. So it has to be, yeah, it's good, it's colorful, it's inviting so that people stop by and participate. Next slide. And then the street exhibition can be done also as a short theater play. Next slide. Or it can be done in form of giving more information with different kind of visuals. And next slide. So, and the playful space, of course, the street game, which can be various games that can be adapted also from other spaces to bring them to the street, what we have been also doing in the skills training. Thank you. Next slide, please. Some more photos of different street games. And then, yeah, next slide. Thank you. So now telling you a little bit more about how it looks like. We would also like to put emphasis on why we are doing this and why is it effective. And of course, you could see that apart from being quite simple, it's really necessary to do the training before so that you feel comfortable when going to the street. But it's in itself, when you have the basics, it's quite simple to do it. You don't need a lot of tools, a lot of finances to carry it out. Yeah. And we are doing this to actually create the participation of new groups of people who are not going to organized events, like Bastian was explaining before, yeah, but people who do go to the street and they pass the street, that they do their everyday chores. So we are trying to attract them to go into a dialogue with us about topics that affect us all, yeah. And to use this diversity of the street and of the people on the street. And of course, we would like to change public spaces, or let's say revive its use that has been there since history. Yeah. So the social and political function of Agora, which is where decisions took place. So there's no other better thing than to actually go where the citizens are and ask them what do they think about things. Yeah, to talk with them like face to face. And then, of course, we also want to create some sparks, sometimes a little bit provocation, conflict, so that we can also change some opinions, perhaps, or really see while we are expressing what is behind. Yeah, so to do this in this way. Yeah, and I pass the word back to Bastian.
Thank you, Tina. So as you understood, this method allows us to meet diversity and especially to meet people we disagree. We wrote people far from us. This is also much more interesting for us to discuss about interculturality with people that might have a lot of prejudice or stereotypes, or it's more interesting to talk about environment with people that do not define themselves as ecologists or climate activists. So for us, just meeting ordinary, we used to say normal people as a provocation, you know, like non-activists, not involved in stuff like that. Here, I choose to share with you some feedback from the participants to the Street Dialogue project, because from their experimentation, that was like the very positive aspect of this project, that we did online training, so it was very challenging for us. Normally we jump all together in the street. This time it was online, but in a very smart way, the EPCU include also this action part of the project, and the participants had the opportunity to directly implement these methods and go in their street. So from their feedback, we can learn also a lot. Here I will share with you, I will read with you some feedback. We are gaining the trust of our community. The Street Dialogue was a starting point. And this is very important. I hope all the teams include this method in their daily activity. The Street Dialogue method is not the end in itself. I mean, it's not just making a dialogue in the street. It's how we can use this method to include it in our daily life, in our daily involvement from our local association. So how we can combine this to our usual activity also. People felt comfortable. It was an open space where people felt free to express. This is also very important. We are talking about a non-captive public, meaning that usually when you make a global education activity in the schools, for example, students cannot leave, even if they are bored, even if they are not interested, they cannot escape from the room. So that we told them they are captive. Here in the street, everything is based on the free participation. So people will decide by themselves to come and will decide by themselves also when to stop if they don't like, if they don't feel comfortable. So everything is done to make the people feel free to come, free to quit, free to participate in a very different way. Another feedback, very interesting. I appreciate democracy from the other's point of view. Here it's also a dimension very interesting because as an educator, we will learn from this street dialogue methodology, especially with the work career. Instead of going to say to people what they have to think, what do they have to believe, as usually activists or organizations are doing, here it's the contrary. We are going to ask the people, what do they think about certain topics? So we will learn from there. And it's also giving value and giving consideration to the citizen. I keep quiet and listen what students had to say, something also very important. The active listening, it's also a tool that will help us to understand better society, taking the time to listen people in the street. Another one is I was surprised by the will of the youth to continue our conversation and to bring the debate inside their school. When you identify topics, a burning issue, you will easily get surprised how people will appropriate this and will also have the will to take action. Here, someone shared that the student wanted to bring this debate, this work carry into their school because it's very important. So they appropriate it. So here, it means that finally we managed to touch the real issue shared by our society. One more time, this time we really decide the agenda with this method. We decide the topics, but people decide about what we are going to talk. Sometimes the topics is just a door, an entry, a window to start to talk about something else. And people will decide what is important for them, what is important to change. So it's also for the activists, for the educators to be open to the change and to new perspectives. I learned from people that directly experimented discrimination and injustice. How many conferences are we doing about poor people, about oppressed people without giving the voice to these oppressed and poor people? Here in the street, we will directly meet people affected by certain issue. It's also very important for them to directly learn from them. So this is a real plus for that. People were free to go in the street and to critique our democracy. This I like it, especially because it was a feedback about this global action and the street debate, street dialogue we did about democracy, and just showing the contradiction and showing the power of creating space where citizens are free to critique our democracy, so to, in a certain way, to find a way to ameliorate our democracy. And I think that this space, we should create space a bit everywhere for that, to make people free to express as a first step to participate. And then to finish, people want to be heard and to take actively part to the change. Most of the team share it. And some people felt uncomfortable about our exhibition, but now they will see the world differently, just showing that through that space, people will learn and discover also what their neighbors, what their colleagues are thinking about a certain topics. Now we'll stop the blah blah, because with Tina and I, we can speak hours about that. That's not the point. And with Jiong, we decided to give as much as possible space for the participants to the project themselves to tell us and to share their experience. To start that, we will share with you a short video. It's a 1-minute video that will show you a summary of what was this 11 local action realized in these 10 countries. So now we invite you to show this video.
My name is Ntui Oben Obi Agbo from Cameroon. My team members were Boris Kalo Patata, Nango Simon Elive, Elvira Munjua Mbua Mundwa, Tata Isaac Antumbo Emmanuel, as well as Esrael Lucas Jr. Our project was about the dangers of drug abuse. The reason why we selected this project was because we noticed there was a drastic increase in drug abuse and school dropout in Mokwai community. The people we met shared their reasons for abusing drugs, while others expressed their desire to quit drugs. On our part, we educated them on the dangers of drug abuse. We were impressed when authorities called us to know about our project. We plan to meet these authorities in the days ahead to give them the information we gathered in the field as far as drug abuse is concerned. We equally plan to develop a mentorship program to keep young people away from drug abuse. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ibrahim Khalilullah Usman from Kumasi, Ghana. Our street dialogue project was on democracy. We went on the street of Kumasi to ask young people what they think about democracy. We were very delighted to see young people coming up to express themselves on the issues of democracy. Since 1957, when Ghana gained independence, democracy has been toppling up and down. There were a series of coups d'etats before the nation returned to democracy in 1992. So most of the young people who we spoke with said they don't believe in democracy. When we asked them what is their reason, they told us corruption, lack of justice, and many more. And most of them even think that democracy is not the best form of governance. Probably they think we should try other forms of governance for us to see if we will really find what we are looking for. But most of them do not agree that democracy is the best form of governance. And then they also cited how politicians try and find their way and break the law without answering, while the ordinary citizens are not respected. That is equality before the law. Thank you very much.
Hello, as we say in India, Namaste. I am Jesse. My team members of the Street Dialogue project are Asif, Nachi, and Hannah. My team's project was about creating dialogue on mental health and well-being, normalize the conversations on mental health, awareness on psychosocial support, and create a replicable model for hosting dialogues on mental health around the major objectives of the project. The Street Dialogue takes place in September month at Calicut Beach in Kerala, the southern state of India. Around 200 plus people from various parts of life attended the dialogue. Our team believes that it is very important to break the stereotype around mental health. Creating dialogue is one of the most effective ways to do so. We look forward to creating a document detailing how we did it and make it available for the public so that anyone from India or from any other countries can replicate the same. Let's break the stereotype and start talking. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jumra Ahmad from Indonesia. My team member are Andrew Tenriwulam and Muspira Nurul. My team's project was about sexual harassment and violence. We chose this topic because Indonesia has a high rate of sexual harassment and violence. We met at least 50 people and dominant as group for male and adults at Syed Yusuf Square in Goa, Indonesia. People who met said how their issues very bad but does not become a big spoiler in society due to the lack of public sensitivity regarding this issue. Because the stigma in society see this is a mistake directed at women only.
And the most impressive things to me was the push to incorporate sex and gender education curriculum in Indonesia as a major preventive measure. We plan to be more actively voicing the impact of violence and sexual harassment to our community and social, especially for youth. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Francisco Ledesma Cárdenas from Mexico. My team's member are Montserrat Velázquez and Miguel Ángel González. My team's project was about human rights and access to justice local action. We chose this project because in Mexico there are many human rights violations are committed by the authorities who are supposed to protect citizens. Today there are more than 100,000 people missing for criminals against humanity. We met 74 people among teens and older adults at Telesecondary and the Main Avenue. People were met share his experience of missing family members about the situation and the great insecurity that exists in Mexico, the corruption and abuses of authority. And the most impressive thing to me was that the children was a reflection on the fact that there are people who think differently and respect it, even if they were engaged abortion or sexual orientation other than social hegemonic. We plan to take this project to various rural and indigenous communities where children and adolescents can now and assert their rights, stop the domestic violence that many suffer, and they can access justice so that violence, gender inequality, discrimination stopping normalized. Thank you.
Hi, I am Marbella Is from Mexico. My team members are Mrs. Nieves and Andres Ezequiel. My team's project was about inclusive education and GCED. We chose this topic because we know that quality education in Mexico and several countries are not accessible and inclusive, and topics about GCED are not taught in all the schools. That means that students and young people cannot access the opportunity to improve their life condition for themselves and their community. We meet more than 100 students, young people and adults at the city of Cotitlán Izcalli at the park. People we meet share their opinions about quality education, inclusive education, and the preparation of teachers, students, and parents. And the most impressive thing to me was that young people were interested in learning, but also in preparing themselves and be part of the inclusion and educational improvement in an active way. We plan to continue sharing topics about education, inclusion, and global citizenship in schools, and hold a hackathon where students and young people can learn and generate ideas and projects to improve their communities. Thank you!
Hi, my name is Ali Raza Khan and I'm from Pakistan. My team members are Ikra Amjad, Adiba Amin and Ahmed Bufani. My team's project was about SDGs awareness, especially climate change and gender equality among people that are most affected by these issues in my town of Multan. We choose this topic because we, as ourselves, are being suffering from the same climate issues and gender inequality. Not only in my town, but this issue is across Pakistan. People we met shared their experiences around climate change and gender equality. The most impressive thing to me was getting feedback from people where they even speak about that how these global issues can solve by the efforts in the local. We are planning to continue these our street interaction community members and people because it's our first experience in this street activity and we got a good feedback back. Thank you.
Hello everyone, so I'm Isabella Baliksi and I'm from the Philippines. So my team members are Jillian, Nika, and Kurt. My team's project is about gender equality and SOGI. So we chose this topic because there is a lack of gender recognition when it comes to LGBTQIA+ community here in the Philippines. So we met around 100 to 250 people here in Las Marinas, Cavite, and the people we met shared that we shouldn't feel different and that we should accept each other because at the end of the day it all boils down to the saying that we are all just humans. So we plan to introduce our street dialogue projects to different communities here in the Philippines. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Giovanni Henry from the Caribbean island of St. Lucia. My team members are McAllister, Sindel, and myself. Our project was about how as citizens we can concretely change the world, and we chose this topic as it was important to hear from people in such a small island on how they can have a positive global impact. We met approximately 55 people at the Makoti Mangrove Park in St. Lucia, and the people we met shared various views, for example on what if, for instance, children can be seen as a catalyst of positive change if we teach them the right values from an early age. And one of the most impressive things was how this dialogue led to discussions on other topics, particularly topics which often cause division in our society, such as religion and nationality. For example, the question which came was, what if we all had one nationality? Would we have a more peaceful world? We plan to host larger scale dialogue in December during our National Day celebrations as there is renewed interest from local media in this new street dialogue concept. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Selin and I'm from Turkey. My teammates are Seren, Elçin and Selin. My team's project was about education and how we define the quality of a good education, the elements of a good education. We choose this topic because after all we want to define the basis of a good education to build up future plans. We met 100 plus people and from the age 20 to 60 at our local park, Kalamış Park, and people we met shared their children's education studies and mentioned their personal opinions. And the most impressive thing to me was one of the participants saying that education is starting from home, and I believe their opinion is right. And also we led participants to draw their ideas into a big canvas, and results was really impressive. We plan to make their drawings a big picture and share it on social media to gain more people opinions, attract more people. Also want to continue to work on transformative and quality education. Thank you.
Okay, super. I hope you enjoyed the video, and congratulations one more time to all the participants for all this beautiful local action. I'm sure you noticed the energy and the passion they put on this local action. And now we'll propose you to know more and to dig into 5 local action. To do that, we have the chance to welcome 5 representatives of 5 projects. So Marbella from Mexico, Celine from Turkey, Isabella from Philippines, Simon from Cameroon, sorry, and Ali from Pakistan are here with us. You will see, to avoid the technical problems, we pre-register their intervention. So we'll see one more time a short video where they will introduce and explain you a bit more what they did, how, and what they get, and what they learn from that. But don't worry, we will have the time at the end of the session to discuss and exchange with them. You will have the opportunity to raise some questions. So please, you can use the chat if you have some question, remarks, advice, insight, critiques, doubt, suggestion, anything, please write it in the chat. It will be a pleasure then to share it with the 5 speakers. So to start now, I will welcome Ali Raza Khan from Pakistan, from the association iVoice, and we will jump in Pakistan to discover the project Citizen Voice.
Hi everyone, my name is Ali Raza Khan and I'm from Pakistan. We are a youth group with the name of High Voices. .org. You can visit us on our work. Within the street dialogue program, we had a activity on the street with the name of Citizen Voices in the street in our town. So that's where I would like to share some of our work that we had. So the topic of our work was awareness, SDGs awareness, especially climate change and gender equality among community members in street of Pakistan. We chose this topic because we realized we wanted to aware people about SDGs, what are SDGs, but especially climate change and gender equality, because these are the 2 topics that are more relevant to the local context in Pakistan and that are affecting. We had this activity on 25th September in the old city area streets of Multan, Pakistan, and almost 79 people were benefited from this or participated in this session, including young people, adults, and even children and kids. So that's the picture of one of our team member that's the ICRA giving session to the people. So next is our highlights, what it is about, what the portion included in that. So within this session, we had it in the 4 kind of sub-sessions or themes. First, we created these charts that represented, as we wanted to introduce people, we wanted to aware people around SDGs. So we created these charts where people came to know about what are SDGs, how they are linked to us, how the governments and the agencies are working to achieve that. So and where not only just charts were placed, our team member were actually delivering those sessions, standing in front of people and explaining them in local language, what are the SDGs and how they are linked to us. The next aspect was very specific to some of the SDGs. It was climate change and gender inequality. And when we were working around the climate change, the team member not only explained with some of the examples that we were experienced. For instance, when we were having this session on 25th September, that was the days when we had those flood situation in Pakistan. So it was very linked. But for instance, in my town, it was not the flood issue that was affecting, but the extreme hot weather and other pollutant, air pollutant and water pollution that was causing their life to be disturbed. So these were the examples that team members gave, and there was a open feedback where some of the partners from the public was also sharing their issues, that what are the climate issues they are facing. And then the next topic was about gender equality, where we choose this because we find that within this, so in our local, where we sometimes call Pakistan a patriarchal society, women don't get as much opportunities, including other gender minorities. So our team members were explaining how we need to give equal opportunities, not just to women, but also to other gender minorities, and how these gender inequalities within the society is actually affecting the community and the overall progress. So that's was discussion where there was coming feedback once from our team members, and then questions and answer and feedback from the people in the street. At the end, we had a discussion around how the citizens or the people can play their role, what they can do as a global citizen, for instance, especially for instance, if we talk about the gender equality or the climate, it is not just about within the Pakistan issue, but it is expanded to more other countries as well, and how it is linked, and how as a citizen or the people on the ground can contribute into those activities by having daily life that is favorable, that is post climate, that's post climate rather than affecting it. So the lessons learned, what we learned from the lessons is that we need to do more practice, because where we were planning our activity, we changed the dates, we did some more activities in late in the afternoon, but when we are having our session, it was in the morning, and so it's a more weather was not so like it was extreme hot. So that's I think we need to do more practice whenever going for such activity. What else we realize, street power is, or street advocacy in the street is really unique. The experience we get were amazing, so was the audience, because we have been doing such sessions of advocacy and other things within rooms and within like colleges, other very specific places, but we realize the audience we get from street is a very different. The way they comfortably speak up and on the issues, that was really amazing. So that's I think the street has a very unique power to do such of advocacy campaigns. We also need to be very careful on sensitive words. For instance, even we are not discussing sensitive topics, but for instance, when we are discussing gender equality, we need to be, especially in the form where we are having this open discussion, when we're sharing and then they are getting other back response, we need to be very specific what's coming up and so. So that's a tip that we learned from our activity. Another thing that feedback matters. Always get feedback from audience on how to improve. That is where it was not a hot weather for us, but also for audience. We saw some of the people were not retaining there for longer. So that's we did in the end of our session. We got feedback from them, and also I think we need to continue so we improve our activities. So what our future plans are, we are planning to do more street activities. It was our first street activity, and we find it even we were unable to do these things as we wanted to, but we got a good response from community. The community themselves were giving us examples on the issues that we didn't expect that will come up from the community. It was amazing to see that community was aware of how they can contribute to countering into these issues, because when we were bringing those issues, we are actually getting back how we should work around those in the form of their feedback, and some of you guys can see in the videos of the Street Dialogue project. So that's what some of our activity we did. You guys can visit us, our social media, or the website of the App Store. Thank you for this. I'm open to have any feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, congratulations, and thank you, Ali, for this nice presentation. Let me just highlight one very interesting thing that they learned. The question of the sensitive words or some taboo subject, like can we talk about everything in the street? The answer also is no. Sometimes it's too sensible, and we learn all together on how to choose the correct answer, how to select the correct word in order to make a more peaceful discussion, and also to learn how to manage contradiction, how to manage conflict, and to facilitate the disagreement. I think that this is based a lot on human and social skills that all the participants previously have. I mean, they do not discover it during the training, and this is how it's very interesting also to include this street dialogue method into their local action. Thank you one more time, Ali. Now we are flying to Turkey with the presentation of Selin Gokut from the team Pink Microphone. Thank you, Selin.
Hello everyone, I'm Selin and I'm from Turkey. Our team name is Pink Microphone and my teammates are Seren, Selin and Elçin. So we work on education, and these are little facts about education in Turkey. So the system in Turkey, it's changing in every 4 years. So it's a really quite change, and it's a really narrative change that we should consider. Either the exam or the order of the system is changing. There are 209 universities with 76 of them private. And the most successful university in Turkey is a private university. And we have an exam system started from the middle school. So we thought about it and we talked with our community, and they said there is a lack in the education and they don't know what are their children getting from the education system. So we think to ask about the education, and our question was, what are the elements of a good education? So how the people define the good education system? So we did this street dialogue in the 15th of this month, and we interact with 100 plus people in a local park here. And the highlights of the projects was the paint we did, because our project was asking people to define what are the good elements of the education, and we try to different thing that they can paint their ideas to the canvas. You can see on the below on the screen. So in that canvas, they draw and they write their ideas also. We did some recordings and we did some just interviews, but generally the painting idea was more excited, and the idea attract more people than the interview idea, because they didn't want to show, some of them didn't want to show their faces. And with this painting, this is the one of the canvas, there's another canvas, and they just draw, and the children also participated through this activity. And the highlights, one of the other highlights is trying to do different things to attract their attention and giving space down to not just verbally, they use their imaginations. And the lessons learned through this activity was, it's important to give people a place time to speak about their opinions. Through this activity, we believe that we gave them a little space, but education itself, it's a really hard to speak in Turkey. It's a hard topic, it's a unique topic. So people didn't want to talk easily. And when we tell them that you don't need to show your face, just your opinions, they try to understand us and tell us their opinions. And these are some of the photos. And one of the things is the weather conditions and time management, because through the process we face up lots of hardships, and with the time management we can do this project. And like I said before, not every people want to take a photo or a video, and it's a really hard thing in Turkey, it's getting a permission. So we didn't actually kind of get a permission to make this event. We collaborate with one of the organizations in Turkey. It's called White Organization. They are doing some projects with Korea also. So it's kind of entertainment company, but they are doing a non-profit organization activities too. So that's why we collaborated with them, because it was a hard process. We didn't get a permission from the government. We can't take a permission from the university. But we really want to do that because, like I said before, it's a really hard topic to talk about. And then we just contact with them and they get us a permission, kind of little permission, and we did it in the local park. And one of the lesson I learned, the good thing is everything, because my teammates are really hard work people, and they always help me and always try to continue to this project. And for the future plans, we are trying to finish the paintings because there is 2 canvases and we are trying to make a big one canvas. And we will open an Instagram account about it and tell about our project to the people. Also in the future, we want to establish our own nonprofit organization about education and transformative education, especially because we want to tell people the future is educate people about the global citizenships, and start to give conferences and information to the educators, because I am an educator. I am an academician at Kadir Has University, so that's why I know this is an important topic, and we would love to be part of another future street dialogues. And now we have an experience, we know that we can do this. So thank you, and I hope you like our project and you can get some things from the Turkey.
Thank you, Celine. Yes, we like your project. I like especially the fact that you include this artistic side in your event where people were able to paint. This also show how we can add something to our street method and create new things. It's not a finished method, but always changing. So this artistic way to enable and let the people express, especially the children, is really well done. I like also this little permission. I would like to know what is a little permission. Is it like a small permission written in small? No, just to say that sometimes it's not easy to get the official permission to organize such event, but there is always a way to do it. First one is to not ask and to go and do it if you can do that in your country, and the other is to find other organization, other event where you can include this kind of activity. But I like the energy. Now I will let Tina introduce the next project.
Thank you. And before that, I would just like to remind you, so you are warmly invited to participate through chat. So if you have any messages or any questions for the team members, please feel free to write them. And then at the end, we will have some time to also do a little bit of more interaction. So now we will be flying. We're flying today. So we're flying to Philippines, and I would like to invite Isabella Maliksi to present their team's project, which was on the topic of gender equality and inclusivity. The floor is yours for the video.
Hello everyone, so I'm Isabella and I'm from the Philippines. And today we'll present our street dialogue focused on gender equality and inclusivity. So why did we choose this topic? So gender inequality has serious and long-lasting consequences for LGBTQIA and other marginalized genders, especially women. So come to think of it, we live in the 21st century and not much has changed in the way society thinks. There is a lack of gender recognition, and the violence, discrimination, and as well as the social stigma are still prevalent. Now we're going to talk about our street dialogue that was held in the Philippines on October 27 in Cavite. So around 100 to 250 people were able to participate and join our activity. So we chose this location because a lot of people are present on this location, and that there are near community or public school, and also as wet markets, so there are diverse participants and they were able to observe, share, and talk about the topic. So first is why G tayo sa SOGI. So G tayo sa SOGI means I do agree with gender equality and I do agree with their gender identity and that I am part of it. So SOGI means sexual orientation or gender identity here in our country, the Philippines, since there's a SOGI bill, or also known as the anti-discrimination, and unfortunately, the bill has not been passed to be a law because a lot of people who are privileged enough does not think that they have to care, because we all know that at the end of the day, if you're the one who's not part or experiencing the situation, you won't care. So our project targeted two sustainable development goals, which are SDG 5 and SDG 16. So we all know that the moral, legal, and the political issues about gender equality and justice for LGBTQIA+ are still ideal or non-existent. If there's a real acceptance, respect, and equality, the big question is, why are they still facing widespread discrimination? So now we're going to focus on the activities that we did on our street dialogue. So first is I want to share that we did this because we do believe that everyone is entitled to equal rights regardless of age, color, gender, race, or sexual preference. We all deserve equal rights because at the end of the day, we are all just humans and we deserve to be protected by the law. So LGBT people have right to be treated equally, and that's why we did or prepared activities that are in line with our topic. So the highlights of the project is flag raising. So this is one of the most moving activity that we did because we raise flags as a symbolism that we are fighting with them, that we are willing to be part of the change, and it triggers a lot of people and it catches their attention since it waves different representation, different flags with different gender. So this flag raising activity, it gives them an opportunity to be heard, since LGBT people don't choose to be LGBTQA+. It's not a choice, it's just them. So alongside with that is the social experiment activity. So the social experiment where there are two actors in the crowd reenacting a form of harassment. So one thing we noticed is that beforehand, before we did this experiment acting activity, a lot of people said lovely words that they're willing to fight with them. But when there's actually the when there's actually the harassment, when there is an enacting of a form of harassment, we notice that majority of the people are not willing to do an action. They're not willing to help. That is the reality. And at the end of the day, everyone can say kind words, but when it comes to action, no one did something. And next is the word relay. So we prepared 4 questions. Then they are given the opportunity to answer. Then we're going to exhibit their answer because it informs other people. It provides them different opinions, and some of the one who answers are the victims of that injustices. It serves as an eye opener to people that this thing happens. And lastly is the freedom come, where we record their opinions regarding the question related to the word relay. And next is what we have learned in doing this activity. So first is that discrimination and injustices is still prevalent. One of the answers from the word relay is that there are still discrimination and injustices that the media failed to inform or to show. And next is the generational gap. At the end of the day, we can't just blame other people. Just like the 60 years old to 50, the 60 years old and above, they are also part of the injustices that are happening, since there's a wide range of change, and they were kind of left behind. And lastly is that how this discrimination and injustices impacts the victims. And also wanted to add that by creating this kind of projects, It gives a foundation to knowledge. It gives them a start. And that's our project is all about. The next is we plan to conduct street dialogue in different corners of the Philippines. Just like what I said a while ago, is that we learned that this kind of projects creates a start. It creates a foundation to the knowledge. It helps us to be more open to these kind of things. And that's my topic is all about. Thank you.
Thank you to Isabella again for this nice presentation. And I would just like to bring your awareness to one really also significant element that they used. So raising the flag, yeah, how the street can be also space to use different kinds of symbolism to make an even more powerful statement or impact. And yeah, the options are best depending on what kind of topic you are covering and you are bringing to the street. So now from Philippines, we would like to move to Mexico. And I would like to invite Marbella Irais Ladesma Cardenas to present their street dialogue action.
Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Let me introduce myself. I am Marbella Irais from Mexico. I studied computer system engineering and by now I work as an engineer. But I also like to do volunteer work in different organizations. My main interest is to make quality education more accessible for everyone. That is why I'm also part of programs such as the Development Club of my university, and I also like to prepare myself in different workshops and young leadership programs. I am also founder of the project Education that Transcends Methods, which together with my team Moises and Andre seek to create technological solutions. The topic of our project is Inclusive Education and GCED. We select this project because we know that in many countries, as in Mexico, the quality and inclusive education is not achievable for everyone. For that reason, we do our local project and was carried out on October 3 in the state of Mexico in the city of Cuautitlán Izcalli at the park in front of Azun School. We reached more than 100 people who participate in our different activities by sharing their opinions in writing, on videos, speaking, and voting in our quick surveys with stickers. Our highlights was that we know that the concept of inclusion is unknown. People mention it not knowing it, but when we start to talk and explain the subject, they feel more familiar, and children and young people comment that they have lived with classmates to whom teachers and parents did not give them the necessary attention and support. Young people do not know how to define quality education, but more than 90% of adults say that neither they nor their children have received it. When we explain the concept of quality education and how the quality education needs to guarantee the respect of the human rights of all, they say that no, they don't have quality education in their schools. Also, most are aware of GCED issues, the Sustainable Development Goal issues, and how they influence and improve education.
¿Cómo harías la educación más inclusiva en México?
Quisiera, bueno, o sea, en mi opinión, tendrían que informar, por ejemplo, a los padres sobre las capacidades diferentes que tienen sus hijos, como hay, bueno, al menos en el salón hay un autismo, que los profesores actúan como si no estuviera ahí, y no le ponen trabajos, y al contrario lo regañan, porque no diferencia bien las indicaciones, y pues solo como si no estuviera ahí, como si no fuera un alumno, ya no lo toman en cuenta para ninguna actividad. Yo creo que eso está incorrecto y también los padres no han hecho nada al respecto con su hijo. Eso no está correcto. Ya.
Perfecto, muchas gracias.
Ajá.
¿Cómo harías la educación más inclusiva en México?
Quisiera, bueno, o sea, en mi opinión, tendrían que informar, por ejemplo, a los padres.
For that reason, we learn a lot of lessons like it's necessary to train teachers to improve education and make it more inclusive and more accessible. This was a really common opinion for all the students and parents. Also, it's important to involve students in the teaching, learning, and inclusion process to create better environments for all. Also, many adults talk about how the government is to blame for poor education, and children and young people feel motivated to generate more inclusive spaces after being informed, which is why it's necessary to give workshops for teachers, administrations, students, as well as parents. Now we want to ask, how can these opinions and results help us to improve and extend and expand our initiative? With all these results, we can approach the directors of educational institutions to show them the interest of young people in inclusion and quality education, and let teachers know that they are not alone in this process and they have the support of students, but also we can give them proposals for workshops and tools in their classrooms for help in this process. Also, we want to do a hackathon. A hackathon a hackathon is an event from 1 to 2 days where we want to give the students the opportunity to learn different tools and learn different concepts to create prototypes and projects to help to generate better environments and create solutions for their communities. We want to call this hackathon from Earth to Space because we want to involve different topics as sustainable development goals, mental health, education, and GCED. And that is for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marbella, for this great presentation. And I would just like to again bring your attention to one thing of this importance. Yeah, so the street dialogue action was about inclusivity and inclusive education, actually, in GCED. So how important it is to involve all different stakeholders. Yeah, not to talk only about with teachers about that, but also to include young people, to include decision makers. And again, the street offers this space, yeah, to attract these different voices and then work with that also later on as, disseminating the results. Cool. So there will be a few more minutes for you to raise questions if you have any other questions or sparks or comments. And we're going now to Cameroon, and I would like to give the floor to Simon Nango to present us about their street dialogue action on dangers of drug abuse.
Hi, this is Simon Nango Elive from Cameroon, a member of Voices of the Young Cameroon. We took part in the Street Dialogue 2022, and our theme for the Street Dialogue was a Safe Bokwai for All. The reason why we selected this theme, a Safe Bokwai for All, was because we noticed that there was an increase in crime, school drops out, and several other 70 attempts due to drug-related activities from this rural community. The project took place on the 4th of September 2022, and participants were from all ages since it was in the streets, so there was no limitations. We had about 30 participants every 15 minutes. We even displayed a board with a question where passerbys can come and give their own opinion concerning the topic, which was drug abuse. Here we have Voices of the Young on the Street of Bokwai. We say Voices of the Young on the Street of Bokwai because this was the implementation of the project. And our act or actions, we had an exhibition wall where we displayed questions for persons to pass by and drop their own opinion. We have a playful space where we had to play with children so that they can be open enough to give us their own opinion concerning issues in the community. We equally had a space for documentary where people will come and tell their own stories. We equally had street music and a newspaper article. The reason why we used all these different spaces was to ensure that everybody had an opinion to give their reasons why they get involved in drugs, and we too used that opportunity to educate them on the dangers of drug abuse. The newspaper article too was very important. The reason why it was important is because it gave the opportunity for persons who were out of the community to be able to be aware that this particular activity was carried out in this community. The implications and lessons learned, we gathered a lot of information from the street, and we're very happy with that because that information will help us do that will help us to do many other things in the future. And the success of the project was based on proper planning and training. Participation and trust were key. Participation and trust were key to the success of the project because we had to partner with a local organization that has won the trust of the community, and the organization too had to trust us because they know we stand only for the right things. So when they saw us on the street, they were able to come and give their opinions based on trust. Then the street dialogue gave everybody an opportunity to express themselves out without any rules. In the streets, there are no rules. There are no rules. You just come, you give your opinion the way you want it, and you leave. So it gave an opportunity for everyone to come and give their own opinions. It was equally amazing when we got a call from the authorities to find out feedbacks and applaud us for the initiative because drug abuse was like a taboo topic in the community. But so they were so impressed that we were able to come out as youth and discuss this particular topic. So we see this as the beginning of a new journey. We see it as the beginning of a new journey because street dialogue was a new phenomenon here in Bokwai community or Cameroon, but because of our partnership, we were able to carry out this activity successfully, and we plan to meet the authorities in the future with the information we gathered so that those who are willing to quit drug abuse can get their much needed help. We equally plan to develop a mentorship program for youth, just as the picture on the bottom display. We sat down with children and we were surprised to see that or to know that most of them are even involved in drug-related activities without knowing that it is punishable by law, without knowing that it is destroying the community. That is why we plan to organize other street dialogue in the future to handle some other issues, because during the street dialogue project, we did not only gather information about drug abuse, but we equally gathered information about other social ills which we intend to handle in the future. And to say that the street dialogue has come to stay, yes, it has come to stay because we noticed that during the activities, equally relatively cheaper, because if we had to rent a hall to gather persons, every 30 persons every 15 minutes, would have been very expensive. Therefore, we think that it is a very convenient means for us to raise awareness about social ills, and we have to go ahead to equally lobby with some funds so that we can use these funds and continue our activities. Or even if we are not there, those that will mentor, we continue the activity from where we have stopped, because we think that the future lies in the hands of the youths. Thank you.
So big thanks to Simon and his team. And also one thing I would like to bring to attention here is, you know, when you go to the street, you start doing street dialogue actions, you become even more visible in the local community. And you could see also here, like the potential now the authorities would also like to have a dialogue. Yeah. So it's kind of a basis for continuation. So big thanks to all the presenters again and all the 11 teams, and a big silent applause or how can I say it, we are really proud and happy and inspired. And now we would like to open the last few minutes the floor to some questions that were raised in the chat. And I will invite member of each presenting team to answer each of the questions. Yeah, I think we will have time for 5, we'll see, but I would like to ask you to please answer shortly so that we... So one of the questions that was raised was, how do you assess the impact of the street dialogues afterward? And I would like to invite Ali to share this. So how do you assess the impact of the street dialogue afterward?
Thank you for this question. I believe it has a good impact. As it was mentioned in my slide as well, this was our first street activity, and the way people interacted was very interesting, and the way they participated, and also the fact that the people that were engaged in the street activity, we cannot say, oh, the next person who will be walking through the street, who he will be. Either he will be the one that is the community member affected by that issue, or that the one that might be have an opposite views for that activity. So that was the most interesting thing in this street. For instance, I will talk about just my activity where we are around the beneficiaries are around 73% that participated or engaged somehow in our activities. I won't say everyone got a broader idea or open up regarding what's the global citizen is and how they can contribute their portion towards climate. But I can say out of that 73, at least 30 people were very much got aware that how their actions are contributing to the global climate, not only to their own town, to their city, but to the global issues. So I think that's the example that for them, those that wanted to work within the community members, I think that's an appreciation, or I won't say appreciation, but it's a kind of inspiration for them that if they are doing something good on the ground for them for climate issue, it's just not for themselves. There are other people like us. When they see us on the street, they see there are people working on the climate issues. So that's, I think, for when we do such activity in an area or street, it's actually kinds of gives it links them to these global people. That's a kind of, we are as a kind of connecting them. So I think that gives them inspiration to continue that work. At least not all, but yeah, many people will continue that. So that's, I think, it has a good impact. And the street activities as compared to others is really a different way of having that impact delivered. So that's the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. I would like to ask for the next question to be answered by Isabella. And the question was, did citizens who participated in the street dialogues raise any questions about what kind of project this is, what are you doing, etc.?
Okay, so at first when they heard the word street dialogue, it comes to their mind, what is that? Just like me before the workshop, I don't really have any background what street dialogue is. Even it is very unfamiliar with me. So a lot of people passing by were curious about what we're doing. So basically our project is new to the eye of my community. So our project is about equality and safety of everyone, most specifically with the LGBTQIA+. Since I think the real essence of street dialogue is that we all know that streets and public spaces have always played a vital role in everyday human existence. It has served as a social hub and as well as communication market. We can communicate with other individuals and observe them using our senses, as contrary to doing things online. And that physically, there are a lot of things that we can observe, and there must be a democratic politics in public spaces and streets. As a result, individuals from all walks of life, just like what we did in our activity, individuals from all walks of life will naturally mingle and be involved in the city streets. We don't really know each other, so we as a member of society can discover these different issues and problems that we are not aware of, just like what we did in our project. Most of the people there are not really aware that these kind of things are happening. So this kind of project serves as an eye-opener. So dialogue and conversation in streets or public spaces is an essential component of democratic and fulfilling life. And these activities really help the masses to take a decisive action that every individual needs to interact with a group of people as they move in with life. And dialogue and street dialogue is an effective way to do it, just like what we did, just like each and one of us did. And that street dialogue will be an outlet to share their point of views, our own perspectives, different feelings, and information. That's all.
Thank you, Isabella. So we will prolong a few minutes, okay? I hope everyone is okay with that, but just to answer 3 more questions. And this one, I would invite Marbella. So were there any unexpected responses, answers that you got from the participants of the street dialogues?
Hi everyone, thank you for the question. Yes, there was a lot, maybe unexpected and impressive. First of all, we have answers from old adults. Maybe all of us think that students were that notice that teachers are not prepared, but retired teachers say us that teachers by now are not prepared to give the students the education that they need. After that, we have impressive answers from the students because they say that they don't know what is inclusion, but when we start to talk about this topic, they say, oh, yes, we have classmates with a disability or neurodiversity classmates. And was impressive because they are involved in this. They notice that the classmates need help and that the teachers and parents don't do the things that the students need to be more equal in a classmate environment. And was really good for us here that they only don't want to know about the topic. They only don't want to learn. They want to participate. They want to be part of this, and they want to prepare themselves to be part of this change, to create these environments, and to motivate the teachers. Not the teachers want to motivate the students. The students want to motivate teachers and parents and directors to be part of this. And that was really good for us here, that because that's important, because the teachers are not alone in this process. So they have the help of the students, and that is the most important, because in a classroom we have more students than teachers, so it's important that the students want to do that.
Thank you, Marbella. Next question was about, so how do you objectively interpret the result, outcome, meaning of the street dialogues? Celine, would you answer that? What do you think? How to objectively interpret the result?
Of course. So hello everyone again. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So for us, I can interpret these outcomes in 2 ways, from ourselves, like our team side, and from the student side. Because like Ali said, this is also our first street dialogue project. This was our first. So we imagine that we can get some questions, like we can ask questions and we can get some answers similar to each other, because we did our project, because of the permission issues, we did on a local park. So the neighborhood's ideas are the same to us, but when we did the street dialogue, we see that outcomes are different from each other, and they're really different answers, and we can see that in society for the education. In terms of the education, we can see lots of different ideas, and it gave us a point of view how society see the education. Also, from their point of view, the street dialogue is very new concept for them, for the citizens, because Istanbul is a really big city, and they can see the street projects in the streets, but they can't see no one asking their ideas to them, to the citizens. So it's a really different view of point from the citizens. They also said that, okay, this is the first time they're asking my opinion about some specific issue. So that can be our interpretation for the street dialogue.
Thank you, Celine. And now the last question that we have time to answer, and I would like to invite Simon. So what would you suggest to someone that want to use street dialogue method in its local community? So suggestions.
Okay, I want to say that to suggest to somebody who wants to do street dialogue, I want to say that if you are from that community, struggle as much as possible to use one means to do the street dialogue, because in the street you meet several different persons who want to express their opinion in different ways. Like we'll take an example of our street dialogue implementation where we had the documentary, or we had a documentary space where we had a pin board with questions, and persons who do not want to talk directly to us can drop their opinions there. We equally had a playful space in which children and even adults had to interact, and during the play we used it as a storytelling session to get information from them. So you make it a bit relaxed so that they don't feel the tension. You provide different means for them to communicate. Some will prefer to talk maybe off camera, permit them do so, because in the street there are no rules. Then if you are not from that community, one thing I want to say, if you are not from that community, then because of trust you should partner with a local organization, because in the street, because of lack of trust, somebody might have an information and one will not want to give you because he or she does not know the reason why you want the information. But if you partner with a local organization and they see you with people they recognize and know, they can better express their minds than you just coming and a stranger and meeting on the street and you want to talk to them. It will be very difficult. So in the street, ensure that you use more than one means to implement a street dialogue activity. In the street too, you should know your choice of words, because maybe in the course of a discussion or a dialogue with somebody, their choice of word might hurt them and they decide to leave without giving the information. So you have to be friendly. In our project, that is why we even included like street music. We use street music to make a relaxed environment for all. So people will come, they just listen to music, and while listening to music, they give their opinions. So you use more than one means if you want to do street dialogue. I think those are the key things. Use more than one means, partner with local organizations if you know you are not very trusted in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Okay, we need to wrap up. And just shortly, it's been an amazing journey since June. And for all of us, this is also kind of a celebration and showcasing all these great practices. And they were all saying they were doing it for the first time, but you wouldn't say that, huh? And a really, really big celebration and big hooray, I would say, to all of us, all of you. And we said that for the end, we would do a little thing that Bastian will now guide us to conclude.
It's very simple. It's just to spread the waves, as all of them inspire us. So we invite you also to put your arm like that, to move your finger.
Also participants.
Yeah, sure, everybody. And be ready. 1, 2, 3. Hooray!
Hooray!
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. As Simon said, something friendly. Everything is based on pleasure, I think, also in what we've done. And this also thanks to the APCU and to the huge energy of Jiyoung, Sukyung, and all the team, the GCED Youth Network, everybody. And of course, with all these amazing participants, they give better answers that I would give. So I would suggest to people that want to reuse street dialogue to contact them also, and to try to see if we can keep going and do something together. Just before to leave you, thank you for your participation. Don't forget that tomorrow the conference keep going. So we invite you and we'll meet you with pleasure tomorrow morning also. Thanks again, Tina. Thanks everybody. Enjoy and go in the street. Many things to do. Ciao, everybody.
Ciao.